Someone say something?
You. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
you. I'm recording now, Viv.
oh my God, I couldn't hear. Okay, the AirPods weren't working. Hold on one second. Okay, cool. All right. Hi, guys. So, Taylor and I wanted to do this call tonight because I've been getting, honestly, so many people who come to me about, like, doing IPAs and stuff, and when you're actually talking to people, like, I know when I asked my downline specifically, like, what is the struggle that you have with, like, actually creating the relationships with the people that you're prospecting. And when I say that, a lot of people are like, okay, well, how do I respond to stories, or what do I say, or how do I make it somehow tie into business? So I felt like this was going to be a really good call to do, just to kind of get everyone on the same page on, like, how we do it, meaning Taylor and I, and how you can implement it to, you know, starting our business day to day. I'm going to move over here just because I feel like I can't hear anything with our microwave fan on. So, okay. All right, so number one thing that I wanted to touch on before we just, like, kind of get into the overall training about, you know, genuinely connecting with people who may or may not be in your business. Obviously, in order to get people into your business anyway, because we don't cold message, it's super important to create real, genuine relationships with people. And the way that you have to do that, obviously, is you have to be willing to be social on social media. So I know that so many people that I talk to who are like, I'm struggling, or I really don't know, you know, what to say to people that I'm talking to, or what do I say when I'm replying to stories during my IPAs. And, you know, for me, it's kind of just come natural to me just because I've been doing it for so long. So I sometimes, when I'm training new people, I'm like, what do you mean you don't understand how to do that? So that's why I wanted to kind of just sit down and really go through this. But if you want to grow your brand and connect with others really for any reason on social media, it's important to develop that genuine relationship and that genuine connection. So you can't expect to grow your following, your brand, your business, your bank account, anything like that without putting yourself out there first, especially when you're in a business where you create revenue from social media. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and, you know, share the things that you love, share the things that make you. That's why our fives are so important. So before you can think about really even having a conversation with somebody, you know, I think something that a lot of us kind of get stuck on when we first jump into this, or, you know, after a while of maybe we're like stuck in a rut or whatever, it's kind of like you have to take a step back and realize, like, who is it that you are actually trying to communicate with? Who are you trying to talk to? Do you truly relate to them? Are they in your target audience? Are you forcing it? Like, if it feels forced, you have to take a step back and realize, like, not every single person you talk to on social media or everyone that comes across your feed is going to be somebody that you are going to relate with. Obviously, the you know, the idea would be to grow your network, to have a ton of people within your online space that do relate to you. But at first, you have to be honest with yourself. You know, why are your fives important? And it's for this exact aspect. You know, you need to know who you are and what you stand for to realize who out there has some, you know, same beliefs, or they're into the same things, or maybe they're looking for the same thing that you were looking for when you jumped into this business. So you really have to figure out what that is before you can even start targeting people that might be relatable to you. So having a clear view of what your fives are will help you identify if you relate to someone right off the bat. So obviously we're using, you know, those 12 squares or whatever it is on Instagram, or, you know, Facebook feeds, you know, we're using those things as tools to kind of identify who this person is right off the bat. If you don't know who they are and they're just someone that came across your feed, you know, that's really all that you have to go off of. It kind of sounds a little bit weird because you're like, you don't want to judge a book, you know, by its cover, but at the same time, that's really all we have at first when we're starting to even reach that point where we can get to know somebody on social media. So figuring out what makes you you will obviously help you find that direction of, you know, who do I relate to? Who might be going through something like I am? So obviously this will better, you know, help you grow your network as a whole. And something that I have been implementing daily to really, really, really be intentional with finding those people in my network is utilizing hashtags. I recently just moved to Los Angeles, so obviously I don't really know a lot of people here considering I'm from the East Coast. So something that I've been doing is using the places part of the search bar on Instagram, and I'll do, like, you know, whatever it says at the top, it's like a little map. If you have your locations on, it'll say something about like your nearest locations that are like tagged. I do that one a lot. Places around me, cities around me, anything that I truly am like wow, this is in my vicinity and there might be some, golden gems. So I'm always using the hashtags, the places, and all that stuff. Something to remember though, when you're trying to find these people and use these hashtags and different things, is to remember that, stay true to yourself and don't try to be somebody that you're not. If you're not into beauty and skincare and that's like not really your thing, don't look for people under hashtags that you don't truly relate to with yourself, if that makes sense. Obviously, that's going to kind of like completely miss the point of what you're trying to do. So stay true to yourself. And like, I know this is such like a repetitive thing that we talk about, but like being you really is your superpower in this industry. I felt like me personally, when I came back to Lavelle after being in a beauty company for so long, the thing with me was like, how do I write my posts to really show, who I am, but also relate it to business? Because obviously a big part of my vibes anyway is beauty. So that was kind of easier for me, but I had to really flip the switch and say, okay, what do I relate to in all areas of my life that people who are local to me or people on social media, might resonate with more than just, the more basic aspects of things, surface level things. Deep down, think about who you are, what means anything to you. Go out and use those hashtags. If there's a place in your area that you frequent a lot, your favorite restaurant, your favorite store, like find those people who are also talking about that on social media and interact with them. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about, kind of going into that, was how do you interact, right? So many people, they come to me and they say, Christina, I'm doing the IPAs, but I'm not getting anywhere. And I'm like, well, what are you doing for your IPAs? And when it comes to actually, starting those genuine conversations with people, I feel like there is some type of mental block between what's a cold message and what is just genuinely getting to know somebody. So with this, I usually, for my most frequent interactions, obviously this is my full-time job, so I do multiple rounds of IPAs every single day. I just have the time to. So with that, I'm always doing interactions on stories, both my feeds on Instagram and Facebook. I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about Instagram, and what I do specifically to interact when I'm doing these things. So number one, for stories, something that we have talked about, I know Lynn's has touched on too in like her work with Me Zooms, is when you are interacting on stories, number one, you're going to want to swipe all the way to the end, like to the end of stories, to the point where you're at names that you are like, who is this? Because the fact that Instagram kind of like learns off of you and how you use the app, they're going to put the people that you don't normally interact with that much at the end. So when you start from the opposite end and you work your way backwards, you're actually starting to interact with people that aren't normally on your feed, which in turn is going to allow them to see more of your stuff on their feed. So same kind of thing. It learns off of you. So you're going to want to make sure that you are holding yourself accountable to being social on social media. So that's really the underlying point here, guys, is that, a lot of this stuff we talk about all the time, it's super repetitive and people are like, what's the secret? What's the secret? It's just being consistent and really intentional with these small things that we do throughout the day. So yeah, go Taylor.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to add, like when you're going all the way to the end of those stories, those are the accounts, like she said, that you probably interact the least with. But so with that being said, when you're watching those, you might not relate. Like, don't force it. Don't force yourself to like reply to something that you don't relate to. What I always say is, like, if I don't relate after a couple days of that, just unfollow. Like, there's no, like, that's, I think, one of the main things that we want you guys to realize is, like, don't be afraid to just unfollow someone because you don't relate to them. They could have a great feed, but if you have nothing to bond with them over, or like nothing is relatable day after day, then like unfollow, because you're just wasting your time.
Yeah,
like
you're wasting your time when you do that. But okay, so what do I have next? Okay. So yeah, as you grow your network, like she said, if that person isn't responding or whatever, you can unfollow them. But as you do this, and the more you interact with people who you don't normally do, that's going to allow them, like I said, to see your stuff. It's going to help you grow your networks. And you're obviously, the more that you're focusing on people that you relate to and your network grows in that aspect, you're going to be seeing their stories, which is going to open up the avenue for you to swipe up, relate to their story. If they have something, cool or a great food that you love on their story, and you can swipe up and say, oh my God, that's my favorite food. Like, be genuine, don't be afraid to be who you are. You know, I get in people's inboxes, I'm like, girl, I love those shoes. Like, where did you get them? And it's not, I want you guys to realize that it's not about, you know, oh my God, I have to bring the business up right away. Like, oh my God, she's somebody I want for my business. That's not what we're saying here. We're saying when you create that genuine friendship, you know, the same way if I was to go find someone on Instagram and say, you know, get in our inbox and say, hey, you know, I really think you're a cool person. I love your content. I'd love to get to know you. You guys know how many good friends I've made off of Instagram just because I put myself out there and say, hey, I want to get to know you. It doesn't have to be about the business. It doesn't have to be spammy. It doesn't have to be gross. It's literally about genuine connections. So obviously with that, and the more you're relating with other relatable accounts, it's going to grow that. You're going to start talking to people within the stories when you're interacting with more relatable people, and that's just going to help your business overall. You know, I have people in other network marketing companies that I am like genuinely good social media friends with who we've never tried to sell anything to each other. Sometimes they support you and they'll say, hey, what is this? You know, I want to try this. But those connections that you're making with people, even if it has nothing to do with business, it's not helping your bank account, nothing, like those are going to help you in so many ways in the long run. So how do you get more? Okay, guys, I'll read the questions at the end of this and then we'll like answer everything. So if you guys have questions, put them in the chat, because I even told Taylor at the end of this, we're going to kind of just like see if you guys have questions. So I will answer that in a little bit. Taylor,
so
you can
bounce off of what you said about like, it's not all about a sale. Like, we're in a social media business, so you have to be social and like take that pressure of a sale, like throw it out the window. Like, literally create friendships and relationships and like connect. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've made, like, they don't buy from me, but there's people I message every single day because I genuinely enjoy like what they have to say, like another Catan mom, you know, like and they boost your algorithm. Like, you're being social, you're telling Instagram, like, I talk to people, they like my pictures. Like, it's just good. And you don't have to worry about like, are they going to buy from me? Like, take that out of your head.
Yeah, that doesn't have to be the main focus. And I think even when like we have, you know, Em and Lynn's doing, you know, big trainings for the overall team, and they're saying, you know, it's about the people, you know, when you put it on a dollar sign or a sale or whatever, it's so easy to get burnt out. Like, that can't be your sole focus. And when you take the time to genuinely relate to these people and create that relationship with them, like, and I'm even going to touch on this later in my notes, but you know, when you do take that time, guys, like when you're not intentionally like shoving the business down their throat and you create that relationship, like why wouldn't somebody that you created a friendship say, you know what, I've been seeing what you post, like what do you do? You know, that's going to come up in natural flow of conversation. So, you know, just doing that and responding to, you know, stories and stuff like that. A big question that I get personally is, you know, what do I say to them? Like, I know a lot of people are so quick to be like, oh my God, like I'll just compliment them. And they'll be like, oh, I like your shoes and stuff. But you know, that's not genuine. That's not something that someone's going to remember, that conversation that they had with you because you said that you like their shoes. It has to be deeper than that. It has to be genuine, and it has to really like, you know, stand out to them. So what drew you to them, guys? Are they fashionable? Do they have a cute page? Are they sporty and into fitness? Like, when you see someone's post come up on your feed in your timeline, are you instantly like, oh my God, like she would be so great at this because of X, Y, and Z? Or wow, I love her page because of what? Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. You can literally, you know, reply to someone's story and say, you know, I don't even know, what's this? Okay, this is a horrible example I put in my notes, but like, you have such a cute dog. Like, I have two. How old are they? Like, oh my God, your dogs are so cute. How old are they? I have two dogs. Like, putting yourself out there and just starting a conversation based on something so simple. Like, and the reason I use that example is because even though it's dumb, it's like so incredibly simple. You guys, you don't have to overthink it. It's literally like, why were you drawn to that girl's page? You know, there's got to be something that stood out to you that you were like, dang, like, you know, I kind of want to get to know her, or her page is really cute. You know, you have to have questions. We're naturally curious beings as humans. You know, when you find someone that you are naturally attracted to, whether it be in person or through social media, you know, there's going to be questions in your head and, you know, reasons that you are attracted to that person or their personality or whatever they have to offer. So do not be afraid to start conversations about those things and genuinely show your curiosity for that person. So like I said, don't be afraid to ask questions. Also in that as well, guys, don't be afraid to share details about yourself. You know, it's not just 20 questions, you know, throwing darts at these potentials like, yo, what's this? I want to get to know you. Like, you don't have to be super hype about it. It's literally just like, you know, oh my God, like your dogs are so cute. I have two. I used to have a German Shepherd. Like, how old are they? Like, literally so simple just to start a conversation. And if it feels forced, then just move on. And, okay, cool. You said something cool to somebody. It will flow naturally as you start to find those people that you relate to on social media and you start interacting more and more with those people. You can share more details about yourself. What are you into? It can naturally come up. I can't tell you how many times I've had someone come into my inbox because of like my eyelashes, my magnetic eyelashes. They're like, where did you get those? And I'm like, girl, Rite Aid, $13.99. Like, they're the freaking best. Are you into makeup? Like, I love makeup. Like, you can literally start a conversation that is genuine off of nothing and turn it into a friendship. The same way you would with someone in person, on the corner. If you find those right people, guys, like, you can really grow that intentionally and things will come up naturally. I don't know if Taylor has anything else to say about that. If you do, I'm looking through my notes.
Yeah, I was looking at them too. But no, like, what?
I said we're a hot mess. We just bounce off each other.
I know. Well, I was going to say, like, literally a girl messaged me and said, nobody knows about the breed of dog I have. Like, it's Coton de Tulare. No one's heard of that. And this girl messaged me one day and was like, is that a Coton de Tulare? And I was like, okay, you must have one. Like, and then now we've been talking every single day about Cotons. And like, that's what I was saying. It doesn't, you have to detach that and just realize like we're in a social business and like enjoy it. Like, don't go places or be forcing messages that just don't feel natural to you because people sense that, Yeah,
100%. When you're genuine, guys, it just flows easier. When you're being true to yourself and, not trying to act like anyone that you're not, you're not focused on the sale. Like, people ask questions, especially if you don't come out and like jump in their inbox and you're like, oh my God, I'm doing this. Like, if you start to genuinely actually get to know them, like, they will just want to know what you're doing just because like, they see what you're doing and they're curious. So with that, I have a little bit of a pro tip here. So if you guys, and when you do start to have these conversations, whether it be you're swiping up to story or you just simply have the, cojones to just jump into someone's inbox and say, yo, you're really cool, let's be friends, or just start a conversation. Once you started those conversations, like, don't forget that you can move out of the DM. Don't be afraid to say, hey girl, my DMs are a mess right now. Do you mind texting me? Like, we can continue talking. Or, hey, shoot me a text. I'd love to talk to you another time. Get that in your phone because, one, it's going to make it so much more personable. And once you start to create that relationship with them, you can voice message. People hear the passion in your voice. They're going to hear, obviously hearing someone's voice just changes the whole like perspective of the conversation. So that's something that I have done even with people who I just meet on Instagram and become friends with. Like, I have a girl who I just, met through a couple mutual followers, and she literally like sent me her whole Instagram like course that she did, like, just to overlook it like for her so I could look at it. And now we talk all the time, and like she'll like message me about oh my God, did you see so and so's post? Like, those connections that you're making, it's so crazy because when you do it without the intent of, oh my God, I need the sale, you're actually creating better relationships that are going to benefit you so much more down the road. So then just to bounce off of that, so something that I've been doing that's been really, really helping me personally, because I feel like, and I know so many people can relate to this, but after Instagram implemented the whole third-party blocks for like apps and unfollowing and all that stuff, and people started getting blocked from posting, and it was just very like obviously like a dark time for people in this industry, I feel like, because it's like, okay, what do we do now? Like, how do we get around this? And obviously, if you haven't realized this already, you will absolutely soon, that this industry is literally ever changing. Like, you are constantly going to be working your business through trial and error and what works for you and what's working at this moment. And right now, what I am doing to really, really help my interactions, that has just honestly boosted my like page views and just potentials like so much, has been this new way that I am networking and growing my network. So I did want to talk about this because it is also something that you'll do in your interactions that could lead to genuine conversations. But it's something that is more like a lot more intentional than just, like having something relatable to say to somebody. So for this one, the same way that I, use hashtags and places and stuff to find people, to just follow in general. I know a lot of people are having trouble with the whole, like, I can't follow more than like X amount of people a day and then you're blocked. So something that Lindsay actually showed me, or we kind of like talked about it, because I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, Instagram is just playing my life right now. Like, I'm not sure what I'm doing. And so basically, if you guys know that on Instagram, the little bookmark thing that you can save posts, you can actually make collections, and they're basically like folders. So I have a folder that's called follow. So on days where I either really want to start growing my network and I can't physically follow new people because for whatever reason I'm blocked or whatever, or I just want to seriously like find a ton of new people to interact with. So what I'm doing is I'm literally going to the same search bar, using hashtags and places the same way. And what I'll do is pretty much scroll down those like pictures that come up from those tags, and I'll find something that catches my eye, somebody who looks like they have a cool page or whatever, for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. You guys know what I'm talking about when you see something like, okay, I'll click this. When I find something that I like, I'm going through their page, say it's somebody I'm like, okay, I want to follow them, but I can't or whatever. I will go through and I will like at least 3 to 4 of their pictures, and I'll comment on 2 of them. And it's not just like some crap comment where it's like, has no meaning, this is so cute. No, it's something that is genuine and has intent behind it. So, usually I will ask a question in my sentence, and I'm making sure that it is at least 4 words, not counting emojis. So like, you really have to put some thought behind it and think, okay, what do I want to say? What do I relate to in this picture? And just one way that I, use to kind of like make sure it keeps going is I'll ask a question at the end. So doing this, it's allowing me to, obviously find new people to interact with, which in turn, normally what happens if they are somebody who is relatable to you is that they're going to go to your page and reciprocate what you just did. So they're going to like a few of your pictures, and they're probably going to comment on them. And at that point, you can make a judgment if you want to like be friendly with them and go and say, hey, like, I really like your content, I'd love to connect with you. Something super genuine, get to know the person from there. But going through and actually liking a few pictures and commenting something super intentful has been so helpful for me in actually growing my following. I swear over the last like 2 days, I've gained over 70 followers just from actually going out there. And I actually was telling Taylor this earlier. I feel like I'm almost handpicking my audience because I'm going out there and I'm finding people that I truly do relate to, and I'm interacting with them immediately. And I know that Taylor actually, or not Taylor, someone had a question. I can't even remember who it was at this point, had a question for me about this earlier where they said, even if I, don't know them or don't follow them, like, should I still interact with their stuff? And it's like, yeah, if you don't follow them and you're interacting, like, for sure, like, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, like, I've had people who I've gone out and I've done interactions when I'm like blocked from following, and those people have followed me just from interacting with their stuff. And a little tip, if you guys are blocked from following, and for whatever reason you like can't add to your following, you don't want to add to your following right away, what I've been doing is anyone I do want to follow eventually, I will save their picture to a follow collection. So that way, when I can follow, when I feel like following, whatever, I can go back to that folder and I can follow all of those people I've already interacted with. And I'm like, okay, I have a bunch of people here who I know I like their accounts. I want to interact with their stuff. I want to get to know them. And it kind of cuts down the time of like sitting there and having to go through every day and like to find somebody.
Yeah.
Plus, it's gonna help you in not getting blocked.
I have a and I like save accounts of girls, and I'm like, oh, I really like their content. I like what they're putting out there. Like, let me, save this here so I have them. So then when I feel like, oh my gosh, I can't find anyone, which I mean, there's 7 billion people in the world. Like, you can find people on social media, but I have that folder to like quickly and easily go find girls that I already like their page and kind of want to build that relationship with. And another thing about what she said, how we will go and like, a good number of pictures to like. There's not like a certain number, but please don't go like every single picture they've ever posted, because then you look like a spam bot. Like, just don't do it. Like, I think that liking about 3 or 4, commenting something genuine, it puts you in their notifications. But if you think about it, like if their notifications are here, you're only like this much. Don't make yourself like their whole entire notifications, because that just looks super, like if someone does that to me, I don't follow them back. I'm like, no. So
Okay.
I'm dead. Okay. So, all right. And then, this is another thing too, like I get asked a lot is like, okay, so, how do I know if like I don't want to interact with somebody? Honestly, guys, just use your best judgment. Like if you don't relate to them on any aspect, like don't go force yourself to try and relate to them. Don't try and start a conversation over something that like you're like, I would not like, yes, I have a lot of young moms on my team and like people who, have children or whatever, but like I wouldn't go to someone's page and be like, oh my God, like I love when my kid does that because I don't have kids. So like, you know what I mean? Like make sure you're being true to you and make sure that you are genuinely finding people that you really, really do relate to. I know it's so easy with social media to like have this picture of like who you want on your team and whose page looks like an influencer page and all this stuff. And it's like at the end of the day, we're not influencers. Guys, we are people who are partnered with an amazing company and we have an amazing opportunity to share. So be genuine with it. Don't act like you need to be this like crazy amazing person to do this and that you need to go find only those types of people because in the end like we don't want just likes, like we want to build an empire.
And for every one person that's in your news feed that you're trying to force yourself to relate to, I can guarantee there's 10 more out there that you could be finding that you easily and naturally will relate to.
Yeah, okay. So Taylor, did you want to talk about real quick whatever I had or whatever we had under your thing?
Okay, so
sorry, we have like notes on the side. We came prepared for this.
So the first thing that we were going to touch on from my side is making your own content and how important that is. So I know sometimes like we will share content and say, you guys can use this, or like you might swipe up and say like, hey, do you mind if I use this? But the thing is, if you're constantly using other people's content, it's not being you. Like, how are you going to have a conversation if you can't even make the content yourself? And I'm not saying like never ask like, hey, Christina, can I use that? Like, that's not what I'm getting at. But if you're just screenshotting, everyone else's content, then your page isn't you. Like, I take pride in making mine. I think it's fun to make it. And like I will always tell people how I make it, and so will Christina, and we'll send it to you and be like, here, if you want it. But there's a line between like, what makes us different in this company is that we don't just copy and paste. We don't just like get sent a post and we all have it up on our stories. Like, there's nothing that drives me crazier than when I follow the same people in a company and I'm going through my stories and they all have the same one. I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but I'm like, okay, I've seen this 25 times today. Like, I need to unfollow some people. Like, keep it you, and that will keep it relatable. And then people see like, oh, they must be different. Like,
yeah.
Like, I just don't want our team to have all the same things because then it becomes spammy. And then what's the point? We might as well be screenshotting the company emails at that point, like, or the promotion ads, like the stock photos. Like, if we're all using the same content that 2 of us or 3 of us or 4 of us created, like, there's no point. So try to get creative. If you need help with making content, maybe that's a training we can do. Like, I would love to do something like that. So that would be cool. But yeah, so just try to be you, and it doesn't have to be fancy. Like when you're making your content for like promos and stuff like that, or your 3 steps, it doesn't need to be fancy. Like, just start somewhere and start like with what you have. So the other thing is about being 80-20 on your stories and how to show you and your business. So the thing is, I know you guys have heard this a lot, but if your whole entire story is just thrive, then people are going to stop watching. They're going to be like, okay, great, she joined that company. I don't follow her for the company. Like, people follow you for a reason. So if you're not giving them that reason to keep coming back and seeing you, then they're going to stop looking. They're going to stop watching. They're going to unfollow. So I try to break my stories up. I put my 3 steps up every single day, but then I switch it up, like, also, yes, we're putting our 3 steps on our stories every day, but if you put the same exact, like if you're taking the picture the same way, you're never changing it up, you're never getting creative, people are going to tune that out too. So I try, like the other day I put a Kanye West song that said good morning, and like people were laughing that I did that because it had the little lyrics and it was my capsules, like just change it up and make it fun. I've done polls with like, what shake should I do today? Just all different things. I'll do like, I don't know, if you need ideas, like literally ask me. I try to just change it up all the time. So that is important for your business stuff. You know, you are doing 20% business, but that 20% you want to be creative and keep them like, oh, this girl's content is pretty cool. So your fives list, I know you guys are sick of us saying fives list, but really it's the core.
Everything comes from fives.
Everything comes from fives. Okay. It's just a really good number. So what I try to do in Lynn's video, if you missed it, about how she makes her captions, definitely go back and watch that. But when you're creating your posts, it's really good to start it off with something about you. Like if you look at my one I posted today, I started off with like, if you know me, you know Lola, and Lola's my dog. And then I talked about her, but then I brought in how I had to take her to the vet today. And because it was our weekly payday, I'm not worried about the vet bill how I used to be worried about it. So do you see how I'm not just saying like, hey guys, I got paid today. It's great. Join me. Like I'm saying like, I used to be worried about this and now I'm not because of this.
Yeah, guys, selling with story is huge. Like literally people, like that's literally what sets you apart from other people in this company. That's what's going to draw your people into this business and your customers to you is what they're relating to that you're literally sharing from your life. Like it's so much more to actually write a caption based on a story in your own life and how you're relating this business or these products to that instance. Like it's going to help so much more. Sorry, Tim.
No, I agree. And when I first started, I was very like, I put my personal fives kind of on the back burner because I thought in my head, like, that's not what matters here. And not until I realized that that is like the core of our business, like the personal fives are how you're going to tie in the other kinds of fives without seeming spammy and without seeming like any other company. That is how you're, what's happening? The chat is distracting me. Sorry. Oh, okay. So but your personal fives, like you can't put them on the back burner. Okay. Because then you're no different than any other like company out there who's just copy pasting posts. So when I really focused in on my personal fives is when things started taking off because I started building those natural connections without it's easier. Okay. Okay.
I think the one more thing you were going to talk about was the like more than one account.
Okay, yeah. So, and before I get to that, so when I have girls tell me like they're doing their IPAs but their network isn't growing, I just want to touch on this really fast. If you're following new people and they're not following you back or you don't see your network growing, and not everyone is going to follow you back, but I just want you to ask yourself, are you following people because you think they look like an influencer or you think they look like, you know, I like their content, they're so cute, or not I like their content, sorry. Like, are you following them because they look like they have it all together and you want to relate to them, but maybe you don't actually relate to them? Because that could be the disconnect of why people aren't following you back. Like, you need to follow people that you genuinely relate to if you want your network to grow authentically, and stop focusing on like, oh, well, yeah, I relate to her. Like, she has such a cute page. Okay, but cute is just a very broad, like, what's cute about it? What do you relate to, you know? So the last thing that I wanted to talk about is I've had a few potentials ask me about if they should make a separate account for the business. And I get asked this a lot, and I personally would not do this. And that is because if you think about it, to me, if I were to make a separate account for this business, that's subconsciously putting out the message of she must be embarrassed or she must have like a divide where she feels like she can't share this on her regular page. And not only that, but the effort you're putting into growing that second account could just be going into growing your main one that's already popping. Like, you don't need to split that up. And I just don't like the message that it gives when personally, like if I saw someone was starting a new business and they made a second page for it, I don't know that I would follow it because I would feel like it's just going to be a spam page. Like right off the bat, without even hearing about it, without seeing what they're posting, I would just be like, why did they have to make a separate page for that? Like, if it's really you, you can incorporate it into your own page, and all your efforts are going to one thing, and it just grows much better that way than giving out this message of, oh, I have to keep that separate from me. I have to almost hide that, because once you incorporate this business seamlessly into your life, like I was telling Christina today, I don't just take my capsules in the morning. I take my capsules and take a picture.
Yeah.
Like, that's just,
Can't go to the counter to take the capsules without the
yeah,
phone.
like I need my phone to take my capsules. Why? Because I'm taking a picture of it at the same time. Like, incorporate this into your day and into your life seamlessly, and that's when things will just feel more natural. And I think a second account really creates a divide, and it shows like you think that there's something that is not completely you about this, and you have to keep it separate. And I just don't like that for myself.
Yes. Okay, so that is pretty much like the basis of what we wanted to kind of say, because I feel like, I don't know, so many people, I feel like there's a disconnect between like what's spamming, what's cold messaging, and what's truly just having a conversation with somebody. Don't feel like you can't, just, reach out to someone and get to know them, because obviously that's going to help your business. And, some days when I feel like, oh, maybe my content isn't, pulling in a lot of potentials, or maybe I feel like I'm in a rut or I'm stuck. It's like, okay, take a step back. Am I being human? And am I relating to other humans? That is what this business is. It's the business of people. And if you aren't relating to people, like, you're not going to get anywhere. So it's super, super important to just, put yourself out there. This is a business. If you want results, you have to be willing to put in the work and willing to take the time to put the intent behind what you're doing. You could do 4 rounds of IPAs all day, but if you're bullshitting your way through them, it's not going to help you in this business. And that's just me honestly being 1000% honest with you. It's just, that's how it is. If you want this to pay you like a business, you have to treat it like a business. You have to go out there, put yourself out there, and, incorporate this business into your life genuinely, be authentic, and don't be afraid to show, the world what you have to offer. Everyone gets into this and they're so quick to be like, oh my God, like, what will people say? Or, oh my God, I can't do that because people will talk about me. But it's like, guys, when people are talking about you, that's how you know you fucking won, baby. So let's go.
Let's make talk.
Let's get it. Okay, so I'm super pumped. If you guys have any questions, I think we had one question. I think there was something on here that okay, what if you're looking for people to follow but they don't follow, but just like your post? I would honestly just say, don't overcomplicate it. Just move on. Anytime somebody is telling me they if I feel like I have to sell the product to them or I have to sell the business, like, if they're questioning me or they're not following me back and they're just liking a post and they don't really seem interested, just move on.
Move on to the next. Yeah, I agree. And that also tones into it goes into the follow people that you really feel like you relate to. And not everyone's going to follow you back. It's just the name of the game. Like, plenty of people don't follow me back. That's why we unfollow every week and make sure we, go back and find the ones who aren't following us back, so we're not wasting our time interacting with them. So.
All right. Well, that's all we have. But if you guys have any questions, let me know. I did type up our notes and kind of went a lot in depth about the stuff that we talked about in the beginning. So if you guys are wanting to get a copy of it, let your upline know and let them contact me and I will email it to you. But other than that, that is all we have. Let's get it, guys. We got a lot of time left in this month. Have a good night.
Bye.